Hello everyone. I'm sorry I didn't do a video yesterday, but I was thinking about one subject and topic, and then another topic came in. So I had two topics, and then both topics intertwined as they do. So I put a little bit more thought and a little bit more research and work into it, and decided that today I would bring both topics and blend them as one. So let's start off with what I was originally thinking. What I was originally thinking is, and so many other people have said the same thing, I find it very difficult to understand how people can't see what we see. How so many people can be swept along with the narratives and the lies that surround us in this world. And I decided I was gonna try and wrap my head around that and figure it out. Now, I've made lots and lots of incredible friends over the past 3 years, and I've also lost a lot of lifelong friends and family because of the work that I do and because of the things that I say. Not that I give a fuck, but there you go. It's their loss, not mine, and it's their ignorance and my big mouth that gets me into the trouble. So, it's tough, I suppose. Anyway, I was looking into it, giving it some thought, and trying to figure out what's gone on. And the war that we are in our lives, is so big, so expansive, that this is over decades. Now, there was a few things that made me really think what would be the main reasons. Well, the conditioning of society in itself. When you're a child, the influence of the family growing up, and obviously the family have been influenced by their parents, and those parents have been influenced by those parents. And it's the influence on the people in general that gives way to the thought process that allows some of us to see things that other people don't. You see, we've got people being born as a child and the family raised them up. And the influences on them family, it may be churches, religion, it may be society, it may be politics, it can be news. Well, those are firmly embedded within what is passed on to the children and generations and what influences around them. And then they go to school as children, of course. The government education system and the authorities that tell us what we can and what we can't do and how we should live our lives in whichever country it is that we are being brought up in. This is a totally fear-based world that we live in. And this is what is causing the issues. Now, most of us who are awake, not woke, awake. Woke's a fucking whole different kettle of fish. We're not getting into that today. But those who are awake and see what's going on, I tended to find that there was common traits that we have that could certainly explain a lot. For myself, many years ago, probably 15 years ago, we started filtering our water systems to make sure that none of the toxins of fluoride and the other things that are added to it weren't getting into my body. We switched toothpastes. We made sure we weren't using fluoride toothpastes because the fluoride is something that absolutely dumbs us down. It calcifies glands within the body and slows people down. This tactic was used in concentration camps. It was used on people that have been captured to subdue them, to make them weak, to dumb them down. So when we consider that the majority of the people out there that are not getting this, are not getting it because unfortunately they have been drinking the Kool-Aid, the governmental water, the shit that poisons the body and slows down the mind. You know, we also see the whole system where now it's breaking down the communities. When I was a child, I lived in a little place in England. Everybody knew each other. All the kids were out playing in the streets together. Doors were unlocked. No one had fear of crime. All the parents and everyone there just seemed to watch over the kids, and everybody knew each other. Our lives were intertwined, and all the better for it, because a real safe feeling of community was born. This no longer exists, unfortunately, in the world, and it's created a suspicion and a fear of the neighbours that most people don't know. We can add to this things like the migrant crises that are going on in every single country. They are being flooded with people who are fleeing the areas that they live in for economic or war or some other reason. We won't get deep into some of the other reasons that I think right now, but I can tell you one thing that we do know, which is a major concern of ours. I've been discussing it with a few people. The USA government and the United Nations are actually funding the migration of people, and we're seeing this directly into the USA. And it sounds absolutely crazy, but I mean, there's multiple United Nations immigration camps now in Panama. And these immigration camps in Panama now, one alone is coaching out 1,200 people a day. And they're running them up through Guatemala and through the Southern American countries, and they're coming through Mexico. Funnily enough, I travelled up to the US. That would be February. And while I'm on the toll roads and paying at the toll booths, there was a side road there, and I couldn't help notice hundreds of coaches, one behind the other. And immediately, for something popped up in my mind, I knew that these coaches were part. At first I thought it was just the Mexicans, but now that I'm well aware that the US and the United Nations are funding these camps down in Panama, I'm well aware that these huge trains of coaches heading to the United States are most likely going to be these migrants that are coming in, and these are, you know, everything from Africa to Haitians. There's a lot of Chinese people coming in, and there's also a lot of young fighting age men and criminal elements that are also coming in. And this influx, once it reaches the country of destination, they will blend into society, not integrate into society. And the destabilization of the communities and people in the areas will continue. Good morning, you lot. How are you? That's good. Do you sleep well? That's nice. Said he had a rough night. Never mind. So the fear campaign is there, but one of the major fear campaigns, and this is where we join the two conversations together, is currently something that's on a lot of people's minds, and that is the escalating wars around the world. This is going to destroy the USA. The USA have been backed into a corner now where there's not a lot they can do. They're running out of arms, they're running out of money, and the assault upon them is coming from multiple sides. And I've had several people reach out and several conversations over this week, and we've had some information come through on very good authority. You see, right now we're looking at several things and several moves that have been made. China have just brokered a peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Two countries as well, I note, that will very likely join the BRICS nations and further strengthen the power that Russia, China and the other members have. Now, this assault, when Saudi leave the current agreement with the petrodollar in the US, is going to cause massive repercussions. All of a sudden, the world reserve currency will lose its status from one of the major suppliers of oil and gasoline. And this, again, under the agendas of sustainable development, is probably why we are seeing a big push towards electric vehicles, and also wanting to get away from anything that runs on oil as a sustainable fuel source. So this is one major problem. But something came this week, again on good authority, a conversation that was had with General Michael Flynn, who was in charge under Donald Trump within the US for the defense services. So this guy knows what he's talking about. He has a lot of people out there feeding him intel. He said right now, and this is not being reported in the news, that strategic positioning of troops are being put around Israel. And it sounds a bit out the blue, and people may be questioning, well, why is Israel on the list? Israel is the head of the snake, as far as I'm concerned. It's a massive sphere of influence over the United States and a lot of other parts in the world through the infiltration, again, into governance, society, and the powerhouses that run the world that we live in. So we have right now attacks that are going to be going on with Israel. But it's not only that. You see, the US are going to be having to enter into several wars at once. Something that's never been done, and certainly something that they are not going to succeed at. You see, right now they're causing problems over in Taiwan. China have been pinpointing certain areas and attacking it. And the moment there's an invasion, then the US have said they will get involved. So there's war number one. War number two is once the attacks start on Israel, the ties and the bonds and the control that Israel has over the US, again, the US will be called in to be into this war as well. War number three, we know, is the escalating situation in the Ukraine. So the war would be against Russia. This is going to be so damaging. There's no way they can fight this. They have sent thousands of weapons to Ukraine. So the stocks of what they have, the ability that they have in the US to now fight a war, has now gone. There's no way they can fight 3 wars at once. So this is absolutely destructive. But as I said the other day as well, they are also saber rattling against Mexico, because they are saying the Mexican cartels are importing massive amounts of fentanyl into the US, which is causing massive problems. So rather than strategically go in with special services and handle that. They think that bombing Mexico, which is a declaration of war, is the answer. So we may have war number 4 there should they continue. The funny thing is, the fentanyl is coming in from China anyway. So this is, again, China using its position to weaken the US further and further. So basically they have it on its knees. And they're going to have it on its knees because it's going to be a crashing US economy. The amount of US Treasury bonds that China hold, the amount of influence that China has over the financial system and the banking system within the US, it's going to be absolutely decimated with what they're planning on doing. So we've got the crashing US economy, which is certainly coming. It's been on the horizon for quite some time now, and they've had this system on life support now for at least the last decade. It just takes somebody like China to come along and pull the plug on that life support, and again, an absolute crushing blow to what they can do. So let's see how this rolls on. I haven't sworn much today either, I'm sorry about that. I'll try better in the next one. But I really wanted to convey the message, firstly, why we don't see people out there thinking the same way that we do. We don't have people out there seeing things the same way that we do. And I hope that what I've discussed here may shed a little bit of light on that. They're never going to get it. And again, as these wars unfold, as the financial catastrophes happen, the fear base that is going to be pushed on them and the fear that they are going to be feeling is going to push them further down into a submissive state, of which the one world governments and the powerhouses out there will take full advantage of, and people will suffer. We've got people already suffering from what went on in the last 3 years, and we're still expecting massive death tolls from those that were coerced or thought it was best to take the poison. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to keep putting the videos out. I'm going to keep talking to you, letting you know what's going on, trying to keep everyone on a straight path so the news and the media out there do not actually blare your vision and try and sow a load of shit into your head and get you thinking in other ways. Remain focused, guys. You know, listen to what's going on, connect the dots, take the pieces of the things that you can hear and see and use them to your advantage. Think of it like you're putting a jigsaw together right now. And as we get the little pieces, the bigger picture will unfold and we'll get a far better idea of what's going on. There is multiple options right now. We can see there's multiple strategies that these pieces of shit, non-empathic, wanting to cause massive democide around the world are causing. And we have to be smart. But most of all, we have to be prepared. Don't think this is going away, because it's not. This is a real fight. It's a fight against humanity. And all of us together, sticking together, speaking together, passing the information together, can figure this out. And hopefully we can be ready for it, or we can stop it before it happens. Keep in tune. We will be coming up with solutions for people. This isn't just all bad news. We do try and work out what we can do, and we do have some great ideas that we are working with some very great people, and we'll get those broadcast out as we record the podcasts, and hopefully people can adopt some of the suggestions, maybe elaborate on them, maybe improve them. But together, everyone, this is our fight. This is humanity's fight against a machine that has sought to destroy us now for centuries. And this is our time to prove them wrong and win. So take care, everyone. as always, I'm here. You know how to reach out. If you've been sent this link, you've probably got a direct contact back to me. If you want to talk, give me a shout. I'd share the information and get it out there, because the more people who are aware of what's going on, more people may awaken. It may have the opposite effect, and it may push people further down into the dark hole of putting their head in the sand. But this is the risk that we have to take right now. Take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you for listening.